mynews.studio.
A new World Bank report just came out, and it shows poverty rates are dropping in places that people didn't expect. So, what's actually making the difference here?
Today's date is February 26th, 2026. Let's dive right in. According to the report, about 80% of countries are projected to see poverty decline in 2025. That's the broadest improvement we've observed in over a decade. But what's driving this trend?
The June 2025 World Bank update is key here. They've actually raised the global poverty line. Now it's $3 a day, up from $2.15. This uses newer purchasing power data and updated national poverty standards. So, the threshold is higher. But even with this stricter measure, poverty has dropped to 10.1% globally in 2025. That's notable, especially after setbacks like COVID, inflation, and recent conflicts, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not just stable or wealthier countries making gains. The report points out that 75% of low-income countries and about 70% of countries facing conflict or fragility are also seeing poverty fall. How is that happening in areas where the conditions are so challenging?
A lot comes down to international development efforts, things like investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare, plus direct aid for the most vulnerable. But something else is in play here: improved survey data. For instance, new economic surveys in India have shown a sharp drop in measured poverty. The quality of data really shapes the story, don't you think?
Absolutely. But there are still major regional differences. Take South Asia. India's broad economic growth and more reliable data are leading to progress there. But in sub-Saharan Africa, the numbers are much starker. As of last year, 46% of people are living in extreme poverty, and by 2025, more than 3/4 of the world's poor will be there.
There are several reasons. First, survey coverage can be limited in some regions. Then there's ongoing conflict and climate shocks, which hit sub-Saharan Africa especially hard. Fragile infrastructure and weaker social protection systems make it tough to maintain progress. Nigeria's recent data actually shows that even in unstable areas, having better information helps target resources better. But if you look at places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, without broader reforms, the impact remains small. Should international aid focus more on these persistent hotspots, in your view?
It seems like that's necessary. Otherwise, these regions could face what's sometimes called a lost decade. But I wonder, what happens if there's another global crisis or climate impacts worsen? Can the current poverty reduction really hold up?
That's the challenge. Sustained progress depends on continuous investment, conflict resolution, and climate adaptation, especially in fragile contexts. There's no certainty, but the current trend suggests that targeted policies and better data can still make a difference, even after major setbacks.
So, when people ask what's working, it really comes down to a combination: infrastructure, education, health programs, and strategies that use better data. Right?
Exactly. And above all, international cooperation matters. The main takeaway is that global efforts are moving the needle, but there's still a lot of work ahead, especially in the hardest-hit regions.
That sums it up well. Today's numbers point to real progress, but also show where attention needs to stay focused.
Thanks for joining us as we unpacked the World Bank's poverty report and what it means for development around the world.
We covered the updated poverty line, looked at regional contrasts, and explored why data and targeted support matter. Stay with us for more analysis on global trends.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.